Hi guys, this is jason.com and I'm here with the unboxing of the Motorola Edge 20. So at the end of July, Motorola launched a triplet of phones, Motorola Edge 20, 20 Pro and 20 Lite, and the devices are focused on a slim body and high-end features. And unlike the previous Motorola Edge, this one doesn't have a curved screen, it has a flat one, and it's also a rather slim device with an impressive set of cameras, including a 108 megapixel shooter. So let's see what's inside the box and what the first impressions are. First of all, the device should be available this month in August in most countries, and second of all, the price is around 500 euros for this handset. In my hand, it feels a bit like the older Galaxy Notes combined with the iPhone 12 series on account of the very flat edges. Also pretty lovely color here. It's a frosted gray, but there are also versions of the phone in frosted white and frosted emerald. Okay, so it has already boot up, we have already set it up, and now let's reveal what's inside this box here. Okay, so we start off with the manual here, readme, and also the legal information. We have this key used to access the slot. When I say slot, I mean the one at the bottom. It has one tray on each side and it's only nano SIM. There's no trace here of micro SD, just so you know. Also in the box you already saw the case used to protect the device with edges as flat as the phone. A charger with the inscription 30 here, clearly showing it's a 30-watt charger with an USB-C connector. And finally the cable, which goes from USB-C to USB-C as you probably expected. Now that's everything available inside the box, no surprises, no headphones. And speaking of headphones, the Pro version of this phone is coming with a pretty expensive pair of headphones in some countries, something in the vein of $400 even, or close. Anyway, back to the Motorola Edge 20. It feels incredibly light in my hand. I remember this sensation and this volume and this feel from back in the days of the earlier Samsung Galaxy Note series devices. That's the vibe I'm getting here. Now the screen feels a bit bright, especially in a white background, and it's not a common screen. It's a 144 Hz screen, which means it's excellent for gaming. And it may also consume quite a bit of battery. Now, when it comes to the measurements, when I mention it's slim, it's actually slimmer than expected, 7 millimeters in thickness and weighs 163 grams. It's got a plastic back, even though you wouldn't tell, slightly protruding camera, a facade made of glass which has Gorilla Glass 3 protection applied, and an aluminum frame in between them. Now the screen you're seeing here is an OLED 6.7-inch panel, Full HD Plus, with 1 billion colors to show, HDR10 Plus and 144 Hz. Really curious about this one and how it's set up from the factory. So we go here, go to the display, we have flicker prevention among the interesting options, peak display and display refresh rate. It's set to auto, 60 or 144 Hz. Auto will only push it up to 120 Hz if you really want to play Dead Cells or other game like that. In 144 Hz you have to activate that feature. When it comes to the CPU, it's actually the Qualcomm Snapdragon 778G 5G, 6nm octa-core, seen on the Honor 50 in China, Realme GT Master and the recently unveiled Galaxy A52s 5G. Aside from that processor, we have not a Dragon. Instead we have 8 gigs of RAM and 120 gigabytes of storage. There's also a version with double that amount of storage, and once again no micro SD. What we do have here is a battery with a capacity of 4000 mAh and 30-watt charging, which I actually mentioned before. On the acoustics front, if you look at the bottom, you can find a singular speaker here with pretty big holes. There's no audio jack here and no audio jack at the top. Probably the device is too slim to host that. Once again, a singular speaker. We don't have any love for stereo experiences here. Now, on the side, you can find the power button, which has the fingerprint scanner embedded. These are the volume buttons, and this here is an extra physical button, which, you've guessed it, it's meant for the Google Assistant feature. At the bottom you can find a speaker, microphone, USB-C port and a SIM tray. At the top a microphone, and that's about it. On the connectivity front, believe it or not, this phone has 5G connectivity and also Wi-Fi 6E if I understood correctly. At least Wi-Fi 6 is for sure. And at the same time, we also have Bluetooth 5.2 and GPS, NFC, and USB-C, as I mentioned before. At the top side here, in the dead center of the screen, there's a cutout for, I would also say it's a pretty small cutout for a 32 megapixel camera. And moving to the back side, things get interesting, as we have a triple camera setup with a generous dual LED dual tone flash and 108 megapixels written here. So the main camera draws quite a bit of dust here and lint. It uses an 108 megapixel sensor with face detection autofocus. Then comes the telephoto camera, the telephoto camera with 8 megapixel resolution and 3x optical zoom, and finally a 16 megapixel ultra-wide shooter. By the way, the telephoto camera also has optical image stabilization, not just optical zoom, so that's nice to see. Keep in mind that we have 3x optical zoom, which is something the Galaxy S21 and S21 Plus do not have. We have 4K 30 frames per second video captured here and Android 11 in a pretty clean experience, but as usual, Motorola lets you tailor the experience with this Moto app with some customization options which you can find here. And we should be able to get started pretty fast with fonts, colors, accents, layout, and so forth. Then we have the gestures, then we have the tips, then we have the display features, pick display and attentive display. Then we have the gaming features with a focus on game time, which has a lot of settings for the gamers. Okay, so that's pretty much it. A quick glance at the camera interface. It's here. It has been changed a bit from the last year, but only a bit. And here you can see the main options. We still have spot color, panorama, live filter, dual capture, cutout, cinematograph, ultra res. There's night vision as well, a pro mode, and dual capture for video as well. This is the photo area and this is the video area, and if you pull this you can see the resolution and frame rate and so forth. And I can actually see you can also film in macro, so that's nice to see. And we can alternate between 3x zoom, wide, better said ultra wide, and macro in a pretty fast manner. Okay, so oddly enough, this little thingy for the exposure appears on the screen. Okay, so that's pretty much it as far as the Motorola Edge 20 is concerned. One of the slimmest and lightest phones around. It beats expectations. It's definitely more interesting and prettier than the renders. There's a lot of Galaxy Note vibe here. Galaxy Note 2 even, or Note 3, the ones from back in the day. Still, at the same time, it has its own novelties that Motorola proposes, like the fact, for example, we have Ready 4 in a wireless version, so you can connect this phone to your PC or to a monitor display and turn it into a PC replacement if you want to, this time without a wire, without a cable from USB-C to HDMI. And you can even use the phone as a webcam connected to that PC. It's only available on the Motorola Edge 20 and 20 Pro. We'll be back with a full review pretty soon. So far, this looks like a solid mid-range phone. It seems tailor-made to fight phones like the Xiaomi Mi 11 Lite 5G with an extra, the refresh rate and the main camera. We'll be back with a full review soon. Bye bye.